Ladies and gentlemen, grab your gloves and get your compost ready. Stepping into the ring is the perennial powerhouse, the sultan of soil, the beast of the beds, where permaculture reigns, food grows wild, community roots run deep, and yes, the garden punts hit hard. Freedom starts in the soil. This is the Guerrilla Gardening Show.
Welcome back to the Guerrilla Gardening Show. I'm Mike with Mike's in the Garden, here with my friend Sam from Central Florida Abundance. What's happening, Sam?
What's going on, y'all? I hear you got something beautiful to show us today.
I do want to show us something beautiful. Thanks for asking, Sam. Um,
That's you always got to be tied into the beauty. That's really what we're after here, right?
it is, and today we're talking about plumerias or frangipani, if you want to sound fancy, as if you know what you're talking about.
Is that the
Uh,
Latin?
well,
It sounds Latin.
let me jump over to Wikipedia here because we know
Oh
they
shoot.
this is like gospel. So um it says the genus is named in honor of 17th century French botanist Plumer. So Frangipani comes from a 16th century marquis of the noble Frangipani family in Italy. So uh, I mean, those languages I think are all derived from Latin. So I guess
If
we'll.
anybody's interested, I just looked it up. It's Plumeria rubra is the most common species that most people have. That's probably what you got. Uh, Plumeria rubra. It's in its own genus. That's interesting. Uh, I've see lots of the plumerias around. It seems like it's definitely a collector's item in the gardens, and from what I've heard, there's different varieties will have different flowers, and that's what people are after.
Yes.
What are yours like?
So mine is the larger version. It's kind of hard to see here in this. I think I do um, zoom in, but these are the pink flower plumerias. You can see all the chop and drop
All the
that
debris.
doesn't make it into the actual food forest, but
I saw a
um,
couple buds, little light pink, but the foliage also is really attractive. I mean, obviously this is older. Is this from is
this
this
is
a
from
recent
this
video?
morning. So we're,
Okay.
mid-November here.
Yeah.
Everything's starting to die back. Now, typically what happens is they get a lot of these spots on the leaves and then they just go from green to yellow to brown. And I mean, I I didn't even touch that one. That
Yeah.
one's probably a little bit harder, but yeah, they do create quite a good drop mulching. Um, and what's really amazing about these plants here is pause now. Come on now. Um, like right here, what we're looking at is where it flowered. So pretty much every time it flowers, it splits and starts growing new branches. And what I find amazing about this plant is all of these plumerias that you see here in this video came from one tree, which 10 years ago, someone gave my friend a cutting that grew into a big tree, and he just kept giving me cuttings. And so that was about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So you can see how quickly they do grow. In the last year, I've noticed, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed too, the size of these and how large they are. Um,
I'm sure, I mean,
now,
they've been there since before you started working on your soil, right? That was like,
these were like
I
the
think,
first things we even put in. Yep. This was all, and I have some other videos, but this was all crushed stone around the pool. Um,
oh, they were planted in really rough conditions in rock.
I mean, it's amazing what these plants can survive in. Um, and so if you look, they're all kind of stretching over the pool because that's where the sun is on the other side of the house. And last year we didn't notice it as much, but this year there's now pockets of shade because of how much they've grown and come over the pool. And from what, I mean, even just looking at them, you can see how much they're leaning. Um, but from what I've been told, in a year or two, I mean, it could be where it's like a canopy over the pool. So I'm excited
Huh.
to see how that plays out. Um, but yeah, really just a really cool plant. I used to have a white flowered plumeria. They're very small. There's one known as a fiddle leaf plumeria, and I do have one here in the food forest. They don't get very tall. They're very, very narrow. The one that I had that was a white flower, it never took for 6 months. It just stayed the same size and then eventually it died. Um,
Huh.
and I'm not sure what had happened there, but these ones are super hardy. I've had people I've given cuttings to, even my friend gave me cuttings like a month later, stick them in the ground and they they do what they do. So
That
um
gives me hope. I've got a plumeria cutting from a friend that I promised to plant right away, and it's still sitting in the kitchen.
okay.
So maybe I should. I just need to go out there and put it in the ground. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
It
Um,
definitely seems like this is a very abundant plant, things that are easy to reproduce and pass to your friends. I mean, that's always wonderful. Uh, but in the wintertime, I mean, they are deciduous. And are they supposed to lose their leaves over the winter? I know they typically will.
I mean, I'm assuming they're supposed to. They always do, but I don't know if Mr. Wikipedia here.
Yeah, I've seen in some of the nurseries where it does get colder than your location, they'll actually dig them up when they lose their leaves, and keep them in the greenhouse until springtime, and then they'll put them back out.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it says it's semi-deciduous. So maybe depending on the climate. And it looks like, yeah, I mean, I know there's many different varieties. This says pink, red, white, yellow, orange, and pastel. I want to say I've seen a purple one, and it's not the easiest area to get to, but it's growing over a wall, and hey, that's now public property. So,
Yeah,
um,
growing into the road, you just take your scissors out there, take a little piece.
yeah. And the leaves, when you break a leaf off that isn't dead, it does have like a sticky milk.
It's
Uh,
latex, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
don't want to suck
very
on
sticky.
those leaves.
No.
But I mean, you know, I'm sure there's uses for this plant. Let's see if I can see. I know that the main use, or at least what I've heard, is that the flowers are used for like the lei necklaces in Hawaii.
Correct. Yep.
You've heard, yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yeah,
And I mean, that's a whole industry.
that's where they make the lays from. Um, so this is from where are we at here? I mean, stark contrast here. This is September 2020. So 5 years ago, this was the start of the garden. Are we just gonna watch this dog chase this squirrel? Yeah,
Wow,
I
such a
think we are.
yard, man.
Yeah. But you can see here if we go back, I mean, you can see one, two, and it's all rock bed around here.
Yeah, everything's in pots, but like the plumerias are literally the first thing. They're actually in the ground here, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And it
So
is just dirt. It looks like it was backfill dirt that y'all or somebody brought in.
yeah, they had some stuff out there. I did dig out a bunch. They had stone everywhere, stone borders everywhere. I brought in um, these palms that didn't survive. Don't ever try and dig up a palm tree and transplant it. It's a waste of time. I'll save you the time now. Just go buy them if you need a palm tree that bad.
If you dig one up and transplant it, you'll understand why palms are so expensive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have a backhoe and the hole ready and lots of water, lots of nutrients. If you plan to live next to this palm tree for the next 6 months, maybe you'll get it to survive. But that was not the case with these two. Um, I was
That's like
working
those
on
date palms you got there.
it. It
That's what you're
was,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was one of the date palms. I was working on a job site and we had to remove these, and I'm like, oh, these would look good around the pool. Let me get my chainsaw out, and 2 days later we finally were able to. I mean, if you've ever seen the root structure of
It's like
a
a
date
mat
palm,
or like a carpet that's just interwoven.
it's like 100 carpets ironed on top of each other, super glued, baked in the oven. I mean, it's these. They were just um, incredible. Okay, so
Well,
this is.
hopefully you got paid to dig it out at least.
I mean, I was getting paid to do the job, but
There you
it was not fun. But and it wasn't like a legit chainsaw either, so that didn't make it easier. So this is the
gotta have the right
original
tools.
Frangie here. You can see
Wow.
all these cuts made on it and
This is
more
from your
cuts.
friends?
Yeah, this is my friend.
Oh,
I mean, look
okay.
how many times this thing's been cut. And so this thing is stretching up. I
Well, what,
mean,
he's got that in a pot?
no, that's in the ground. Yeah, it's hard to see
Oh,
here, but yeah,
just
his is in.
inside his pool
It's
cage?
Yeah, and I mean he had it's probably because it's a two-story house, so it was say at least a 16-foot pool cage, maybe 20 feet tall, but um, I mean look at the size of this thing, incredible.
How
So
old do you think, or how long do you think he's had that?
so this was 5 years ago. I mean I think he got it 10 years before that, so this is probably like a 10-year-old tree.
Wow. And it definitely looks like it's been around a while. It's got lichen growing on it, but then you can see the fresh wood up here. And so if you were going to take a cutting from this plumeria, where, what type of wood are you going for there?
It's a good question. I have taken cuttings from the brown stocky, and this is kind of just like actually, if you look at, do have a better
I
video
would
here.
assume you wouldn't want like an old tissue like that for cutting. Like obviously that's the trunk. You wouldn't cut that down, but I mean usually, you know, maybe like just turned brown, hardened wood. I mean that's for most cuttings. Uh, but still being able to see like some of the nodes.
So it's interesting the layers of this tree. So
Was that one that
we'll,
was cut down?
yes, not,
Huh.
it was intentional. However, this is a good lesson for anyone that wants to grow plumerias here in Central Florida. It was Christmas 21. I think we got a really, really good freeze. And that first video where the plumerias were a couple foot high going around my pool and the stone bed, those were maybe 3 feet tall. When they froze, every single one of them rotted right down to the ground. Literally, I could just squeeze them with my hand and bend them, and that was it. So I cut them down at the ground and I noticed that there was like a green layer on the inside and brown on the outside. And so I said, wow, this thing's still alive. And I had cut it down to make it easier to dig out, but really once I cut it down and I noticed that it was still alive, I just let it be. So this is a video a couple months later, and here out of the side, you can actually see on the one side a big, a larger green growth, and then on this left side, you can barely see a tiny little one starting right down here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the little dot.
And
Well, you definitely
so,
saved it by cutting it.
well,
You stopped the rot, because it would have continued to, and if the roots had rotted or frozen in the soil, then the plant would have died. But, the top died off. You got rid of that dead disease material, and then it's able to recover. That's impressive.
what's
What does that
even
one look like now?
that's what I'm
Okay.
looking for that video because it's just as impressive, and pretty much everything that came out of everything that you see around the pool was actually cut down to the ground. So I would say they're probably like 3 or 4 years old and not 5 years old because they all had to get cut down and start growing from, I mean, the trunk essentially, but um, and I was just looking at it here. Where are we? But this plant is it. I just think it's so pretty to see out there. I've given some to friends and neighbors that they've admired them from afar, and I'm like, hey, I'll take care of you here, don't you worry. But
I've been looking at the if there's any uses, like, medicinal edible uses for the plant anywhere. There's a lot of conflicting information. I'll say that. Uh, I mean, main thing to know is that there's that latex sap in the entire plant. And so, you know, that's something you want to avoid getting in your mouth and your eyes. And I mean, even too much contact with the skin, especially if you're sensitive to that, can be dangerous. However, I mean, there's a lot of, information on the internet, it seems, that people, have written at least about using some of the plant material as topical solutions, maybe using that latex mixed with other compounds. But then also the flowers. I see a lot of stuff about making tea from the flowers. It seems that most of the sap is in the in the flower, and so that's probably not a good term. But it seems like when they're referring to using the flowers for things, they're actually talking about just the petals. So, I mean, I would do your own research, folks, but it does seem potential for teas. Also people use them as decoration garnishes. Have you ever picked the flowers? It seems like from what I'm reading, they hold up really well, like for a while after they've been picked.
the flowers do typically what we've done, and I don't always like doing this. Liz likes the pretty flowers to put in a vase, but
Oh, you got to make bouquets for the house, man. That's how you enjoy the flowers inside.
yeah, I mean, we got other flowers out here, but yeah,
You can make yourself a lei. You've never done that? Come on.
well, I'm proud to say I have tasted one of the leaves before because I was told they were,
The
I'm sorry,
leaves?
the flowers. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was told they're edible, and they are. I ate one.
And he didn't die, guys.
I didn't die. I
How
wouldn't
was it?
say that I would eat another one. I mean, it's everything you think what tasting of flower petal would taste like. I mean, um, Yeah,
I've
I
had
read
some
it, and
tasty flower petals, but going off that description, I can't imagine that would be too pleasant.
yeah, I mean,
Vegetative, fibrous.
it definitely was not. Um, I had visions of Willy Wonka, and it was the complete opposite. So,
Hey, that's everybody's ideal food forest is just Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, walking around munching the bark off of trees,
yeah,
everything's made out of gummy bears.
yeah.
Oh, that would be nice.
So this here is the last video we saw.
That's the short one or the little one you would cut down.
The little one I had cut down that had that tiny
Wow.
little growth coming out of it. So this is 3 years later. Um, you can see there's one that's still flowering here in November.
Oh, okay.
And you
Wow.
can see the white spots
Some
underneath
kind
the
of
leaves here.
aphids or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is typical. Every year this happens, they all die and then they come right back. So, um,
Well, maybe the insects are just capitalizing, the plants. So what happens when plants go deciduous? They're not just losing all their leaves and all the work they put into making them before they drop their leaves. And the reason the leaves turn yellow and, red, all those fall colors we see, the plant reabsorbs a lot of the chlorophyll and nitrogen from those leaves back into its main body. And then that's the discoloration that we see. And so, when you in the one of the first videos, you touched those plumeria leaves and they just fell off. That's because that plant had already gotten pretty much everything it needed from that leaf back, and it was just waiting for something to, take it away because it no longer needed that. It knew it wouldn't need it for the winter. Um, but also, when the plants stop caring about their leaves, that opens opportunities for insects to come in because, I mean, probably when the plant is starting to go dormant like this, it's going to have a lot less of that latex in the leaves, which
mhm.
can make it easier. I'm sure the latex is mostly to keep, things from eating the leaves. That's
Sure.
that's usually what plants try to avoid is being eaten.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if it's visible. I think I go down to the bottom here. Now that's where I made a cut recently,
Okay, not the original cut that you
not
showed
the
us
original
before.
cut. That was actually the cut for Jim that I made when I gave
Oh,
Jim
okay.
a nice healthy plumeria. And it looks like, I don't know if there's a way to zoom in here, but it looks like just off to the side,
There was a little bud down there.
yeah, like a little tiny green bud right here.
Yeah. I think I like how much healthier this trunk looks than the one you showed us before. I mean, the core is solid, it seems, whereas that other one, it was, I mean, it had froze, we knew that there were issues with it, but I mean, this shows that the the trunks of these plumerias, even when they get larger, stay really dense. I mean, it's a short-lived shrub. I don't know how long. Let's see. What is the typical lifespan of the plumerias? Do you know?
I don't.
Another thing to consider, I was just talking about this the other day with somebody. When we're constantly cloning plants, we're not like the plant is continuing to age. So if your plumeria was 10 years old and somebody took a cutting off of it and planted it, they're planting a 10-year-old plumeria and say that, well, let's see, uh, how long do they typically live? Oh, wow. They are very long lifespans, many decades, sometimes over 100 years.
Wow.
So, not something that's a great plant to take cuttings of, but at some point, somebody's going to be taking a cutting of 100-year-old plumeria that may have already only been planted, a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
Uh, and then, they're going to plant this and maybe, and it really, the discussion was talking about citrus and how we've been cloning the same citrus genetics for hundreds of years. I think since like the 14 or 1500s, we've had the navel orange. So like, and each one of those is the same individual. So some of those trees out there are 600 years old because it's not like the trees were, young when we took the first cuttings off of them.
Right.
Um, so that's interesting, but I think it's fascinating that they'll live sometimes for 100 years potentially. And I mean, that is a quick search.
Yeah, this is one that I forget if this rotted, if it broke. Um, and so just kind of a better video to show how the top of the limb here was broken off somehow. And this thing just said, okay, well, now I'm going to grow three branches. And so, um, there's our three branches, and that is, yeah. So when was this video from?
A while ago, looks like.
March 23. So this was essentially as you can see all the mulch over to the side here. We're starting to expand our bed around the pool and these plumerias. So I guess this is like the second year after they've been hacked back down to the ground. And you can kind of see like this one down here doesn't look like it's doing so great. This one here has one tiny leaf on it.
They definitely
Um,
look more rough than that first shot when you planted them behind the pots.
yeah, for sure. And I mean this over here to the left of these composts is where this big one we were just looking at that had been cut down to the ground was. So um,
Do
you
you
know,
ever cover them? Like, when you see that you're going to get frost, do you do anything to protect them?
at this point they're so big that and from my experience too, it's I don't know how noticeable it was. Let me pull up another video here, but when they're green, that to me that's what's susceptible to rot.
Hmm.
But the brown, hardy, stocky trunk, um, I'm me personally, I'm less concerned with. And so this is we saw when it was cut down to the ground, and then we saw this morning. This is
Wow, you see that stump in there.
yeah. So this was April 2023, so 2.5 years ago, and yeah, this was probably a few months after that first video where we had the tiny little growth coming. But looking at the trunk, you can see it's pretty brown and hardy. And on the side there, I mean, you could go and probably just break those off with your finger at this point because they're just they're nothing yet. Um, so I have always cut. I usually just go back to the trunk itself and cut. Or if I have a large branch that's brown extending the trunk, I'll cut it back to where that branch meets the other branch. Um, because from the ones that have broken, the ones that I've cut, they they grow pretty easily. New growth from where that cut happens, just like this one. So,
It's pretty good.
and
I mean, it it means it responds really well to pruning. I mean,
for
I'm
sure,
sure those leaves would take a while to break down, but I mean, I'm sure that, like you said before, it's got to make a good chop and drop. Uh, at least keeping the soil covered, producing a ton of biomass. You just wouldn't want to chop the stems up in your mulch because then you'd end up with plumeria everywhere, right?
yeah. And it wasn't a video; it was just a photo because I was trying to for the camera um, show what the root system looks like. And yeah, I don't think I have any videos of it, but I do want to share that we were having trees cut down, and the tree cutter said, "Hey, where can I where can I get one of these?" And I said, "Well, I'll give you one of these. How much you want to give me for it?" So of course, he tried to lowball me. He goes, $50. And I go, "Well, you just showed me the house you're working at. Looks like a millionaire's house.
$50 for a stick? Oh my God. I would have taken that and ran.
$100 I got from him." But he cut down a tree.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't just cut a branch. He cut down one of my 4 or 5 foot trees. And now that was last year, last summer. So a year and a half later, there's probably 2, 3 foot growth there.
If he was
Um,
smart, he probably could have turned that into 10. You take that 5 foot section and just piece it up. Because I mean, I've done a lot of work with like cassava and it's very different, but you still root it off stem cuttings and like one or two nodes, and you can root a whole new plant. And it looks like those plumerias have nodes like really densely along the green growth. I mean, everywhere a leaf comes out is a node.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
this is a cutting that I had. I'm trying to think if
that's super green.
I think this broke off. I think this is one of the ones that broke off, which would make sense. But yeah, that's a good shot of,
Wow, look at that yard.
yeah,
No trellises, no
nada.
food.
Just some crepe myrtles, your favorite.
One day we'll
Now,
do an episode on crepe myrtles.
yeah, it's hard to see what this one back there is, but I'll leave that one to the imagination. Um, but yeah, this I got to share because I know we only have a couple left here. So before
Oh, you're running out.
before we run out of time, so I've had these 5 years. The first time that I actually, I was not going to let me share this. The first time that I had a seed pod, I kind of freaked out because I never saw one before. And I'm like, I don't get it. What am I missing here? And so,
Like why you didn't have one before then, or
yeah, it did not seem like something that, so here, I mean, here we are in January of last year, all the leaves are gone, but then this seed pod sprouts up.
yeah, compared to the flowers, the seed pods are almost grotesque.
Yeah.
They don't look
I mean,
normal.
this was like Alien, Sam. I'm looking at this
Yeah,
thing going, what is happening to, um, my seed pods here? The
they're
moringa's still
mutating.
doing well, but
No,
yeah.
but that's how you keep the genes alive. Have you ever tried to germinate any of those seeds?
No, actually, this lady told me, leave it on there for a while. Leave it on there for a while. Wait until it feels like soft enough, and then you can try it. Well, 8 months later, it was still on there. And at our garden party in September, so 9 months later, is when I first noticed that it had kind of broken apart and started falling. So, um, no experience with the seeds whatsoever. So,
Uh,
hopefully there was enough information in this episode that if you are interested in some plumerias, that you have some knowledge how to grow them. And if
Google says 9 to 10 months on those seeds. So that lady was not
okay,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, no. And she's one of my neighbors. She was a horticulturist for Disney. So
Oh, nice. I've definitely learned some things about plumeria today that I didn't know. I think this was
excellent.
great.
All right, Sam. Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find more of you and your consulting services?
Yeah, we're running out of time here, but if you want to check out Central Florida Abundance on Facebook, Instagram, and right here on YouTube, you can see some more of the projects that I get into and some of the things that I do in my own yard. Um, I offer consultations, installations, and maintenance. And then we also sell local produce at igofarm.com. You can check us out over there.
And you can check me out, follow me, subscribe, leave a comment at Mike's in the Garden. And you can always support this show by purchasing a t-shirt. This is one of the newest ones here. Hey, it's Friday. And, if you want
Jason's
to be
happy.
different, be cool, get yourself a t-shirt. So that's it, Sam. Probably getting kicked off soon. So peace out, brother. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you next one, Mike. Have a good one.
Later.